Earlier this week, we spoke with Coach Snodgrass to hear what he thinks about this Ralston team.
Thanks, Katie. I'm here with York Dukes head coach Glen Snodgrass. Coach, your team just had a big win over Scottsbluff over the weekend. Talk about that game in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, anytime you win in the playoffs, I guess it's a good thing. I don't feel like we played our best game, especially offensively, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that Scottsbluff has a very good football team, and their kids played very, very hard. So I think offensively, though, we looked a little rusty for some reason. We'd been very, very sharp for 3 or 4 consecutive weeks there, and we made some uncharacteristic mistakes. But like I said, a lot of that was because of Scottsbluff, but in the playoffs, you win, survive in advance. You can never complain too much about that.
It's interesting because you played Scottsbluff last year in the playoffs. They were undefeated, #1 coming in. You knocked them off. Played them again. This time you were the higher seed. Was that kind of weird that the things were flip-flopped this time around?
I don't think so for us. I mean, we tried to, not play that angle up at all. We knew that they would have a very motivated team coming in, remembering that game a year before, and, I'm sure their coach was playing up the revenge factor and all that. But it was just the next game on the schedule for us, which is what we always talk about. The next game's always the biggest game, and it just happened to be Scottsbluff. So, I don't think our kids overlooked them. A lot of people have asked me that. I just think Scottsbluff's got a very good football team. And, like I said, you get a win in the playoffs, you always got to be happy.
Talk about your football team and your program. This is your 3rd year in. Last year was the first year you made the playoffs since 2003. Now you're a higher seed in that playoffs, this year's playoffs. Just talk about the turnaround and how you've been able to make that happen with this Dukes team.
Well, it's just been total buy-in by the kids. Weightlifting is the cornerstone of everything we do, and the kids and the parents and the whole community's really bought into the weightlifting program, and I think that's something that's has shown giant dividends, not only within our football team, but within a lot of the programs here at York. So that's been the first thing. But the kids, they paid the price over the summer, weight rooms, 7-on-7 camps, things like that, and they're buying into the program. And this year at the beginning of the year, we talked a lot about how there's not going to be any more surprises, no more shock in the state, upsets. We're going to be the ones with the target on our back, and that's something we've really worked on a lot this year. And we understand that we're going to get a lot of teams' best shots, especially being rated #4 in the state. And so the kids have taken on that mentality and that role of not being the underdog very, very well. And we're going to continue with it.
Talk about one of those players on your team who seems to definitely have bought into that program, Nevel. He had 300-plus yards against Northwestern, 132 yards, or 30-plus yards the past 2 games. He's really been carrying the load for you guys.
Yeah, he hasn't got a ton of carries this year. There's been a lot of games this year where we've been able to kind of rest him a little bit because we knew at the end of the year we were going to have to lean on him pretty heavily, which has kind of been the case. And the kid's averaging over 8 yards a carry, and he's a very explosive athlete, very strong kid, very intelligent. He's just the type of kid that everybody wants on their team, just tough, hard-nosed kid. And he can do a lot of things. He's a very good blocker. He's a very good runner. He can catch the ball. He can do a lot of different things. So he's a fantastic player for us, and we, as I said, do lean on him heavily, especially in these big games.
Let's talk about the game coming up this week against Ralston, the #5 seed. They have a very good rusher of their own in Isaac Wallace, who's leading Class B. Nevel's #4 in rushing yards. What do you expect to see from the Rams?
Well, they're a very big, very physical team. They definitely aren't going to do anything real fancy. They're not going to try and trick you a whole lot. They're going to bring it right at you. They got their ISO game, they got their power game. They haven't thrown for a ton of yards this year. It's no surprise what they're going to do. They're going to give it to the running back, and probably a good idea because he's a very, very good athlete, and he's got some giant boys in front of him. And so, we know what they're going to do. It's just a matter of us lining up and being physical and stopping them, Defensively, they're a very good defensive team as well. They've given up a few yards in the passing game here and there, but they are a very physical team, well-coached team, and we're going to have to play very well if we want to advance.
Well, Coach, wish you the best of luck come Friday.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Katie, back to you.